His hands weren't supposed to go that low, but they did, and I didn't stop him. The warm oil slicked over my skin as his fingers pressed deeper, lingering. Worthy shouldn't my breath hitched, but I say nothing. Maybe I wanted to see if he'd push further. Maybe I wanted to see if I'd let him. You're really tense. He murmured, his voice lower than before. Exhaled slowly, trying to focus on the message, but the he pulling in my stomach made it impossible. Should I stop this, or did I want him to keep going? His fingers pressed deeper, dangerously slow. This wasn't just a massage. Any more. Thick silence settled between us, broken only by the rhythmic sound of his hands gliding over my skin. The oil was warm, his touch confident, too practiced for someone who was just helping me. My breath came uneven, but I didn't move as should have. I should have shifted away, made an excuse, stopped this before it crossed a line, but I didn't. Instead, I felt everything, his fingertips teasing along the curve of my lower back. His palms spreading the warmth at my spine, stopping just beneath my shoulder blades, burst sliding back down again. The slow drag of his touch left trails of heat that had nothing to do with the massage. Okay, his voice was softer now, almost careful. But there was something else beneath it. I swallowed hard, my lips parting, but no words came out. Was I okay? My body felt like caught between relaxation and something far more dangerous. My cousin shouldn't be touching me like this. This wasn't normal, but why wasn't I stopping him? I forced a breath. Yeah, I'm fine to lie. His hands pressed down again, this time with more pressure, his thumbs kneading into the small of my back, working out tension that had nothing to do with sore muscles. His touch lingered longer than it should, fingertips brushing just a little too low before he pulled back. I bit my lip. Was that an accident, or was he testing? He adjusted beside me, shifting his weight as his hands moved up again, following the same slow path, but this time, when his fingers grazed my ribs, I felt the hesitation, like he was waiting, like he was silently asking a question, and God helped me. I didn't answer. Therein felt smaller, the air heavier. The warmth from his hands seeped deeper into me, skin spreading in ways it shouldn't. Told me if it's too much, he murmured, his voice lower than before. I should have said it was. I should have stopped this no before it became something we couldn't take back. But my body betrayed him. I didn't move. I didn't tell him to stop, and when his hands slipped just a little further down, I let him. I should have stopped him the second his hands wandered lower, but instead I let out a breath. I didn't realize I was holding. Silence between us wasn't in tiny anymore. It was charged, thick with something unspoken, something neither of us had the courage to name. His hands had stopped moving, resting just below the small of my back, fingertips barely pressing into my skin. He was hesitating, waiting. I could still stop this one word in movement, and this would be over. Beat instead of pulling away, I turned my fat chin of the pillow, hiding the way my lips parted with something dangerously close. Pseudo anticipation. His fingers pressed in again, slower this time, and a shaky exhale left my mouth before I could stop it. God, did he hear that? I felt him shift beside me, his breath hovering somewhere near my shoulder, a beat past, then another before his hands started moving again, but this time the rhythm was different, more deliberate, more exploring me. Stomach clenched. You're really good at this. I hated how breathless I sounded. A low chuckle rumbled from his chest. You like it? I shouldn't answer. I shouldn't encourage this, but my body was already enswearing for me, sinking into the sensation, into the warmth of his touch. This wasn't just a massage anymore. His thumbs pressed into my lower back, sliding outward, brushing dangerous like lace to places he shouldn't be near. My breath stilled, his fingers paused, waiting again, giving me a chance to stove him. I didn't. He took that as permission. Thek's movement was slower, his hands venturing lower, tracing the edge of something forbidden. My skin burned where he touched me, my pulse hammering so loudly I was sure he could hear it, and my voice broke as his fingers back up, teasing along my ribs, his breath now impossibly close to my ear. What are we doing? His hands stopped completely, this time resting against my waist. The room was so quiet I could hear both of you breathing, shallow, uneven. I should stop, murmured. But he didn't move. I turned my head slightly, my cheek brushing against the pillow, my heart pounding at the weight of his hesitation. Was he waiting for me to tell him no, or was happening? I wouldn't. My lips parted, but the word never came, and when his hands slid lower again, I knew there was no turning back. The second his hands slipped even lower, I knew we had crossed a line one look could never come back from. My breath itched, my entire body tensed beneath him, but not from discomfort, from something else, something I wasn't ready to name. His fingers paused, lingering at the edge of hesitation, waiting, always waiting, as if silently asking if he wanted him to stop. I should have pushed his hands away, sat up, told him this was a mistake, but I didn't. Instead, I melted deeper into the mattress, my breath unsteady as his touch grew bolder. The warmth of the oil wasn't the only thing spreading through my skin. Oh, a shiver rolled down my spine as his fingers Trace slow deliberate circles along my lower back pressing just a little too close to places. He should admire this wasn't just a mistake anymore, this was a choice, and I was making the wrong one. The silence between us stretched longer, heavier. The only sound was our breathing, his deep and controlled, mine shaky and uneven. I could feel the weight of his hesitation pressing against my skin, but I could also feel something else. The way his fingers trembled slightly, the way breathing faltered when my body shifted beneath him, the way he wanted this just as much as I did. His hands slid up again slower, this time grazing along my sides, seizing the hem of the towel draped over me lower body. My stomach clenched, my pulse hammering so loudly I thought heckled hear it. Then he stopped dead still. He swallowed hard, my heart slammed against my ribs as I waited for him to say something, to acknowledge what was happening, but he said nothing, and then his hands left my body entirely cold. Air rushed over my back where his warmth had been, making me realize just how much I had sunk into his touch. I turned my head slightly, glancing over my shoulder, and the sight nearly knocked the breath out of me. He was still kneeling beside me, his hands clenched into fists. His jaw tight, his entire body rigid with restraint, his eyes dark, conflict flicked to mine, searching as if waiting for me to say something firsthand. I did. I whispered the one word that changed everything. Don't. His breath caught, his fingers twitched. And in that moment, we both knew we were past that point of no return. The second I told him didn't, I knew I had just unleashed something dangerous, something neither of us could stop now. His hands hovered above my back, fingers twitching like he was fighting himself. His breath came out sharp, his body tense as if a war was raging inside him, but the second our eyes locked, that hesitation, that restraint shattered slowly. Deliberately, his fingers found my skin again, but this time his touch wasn't hesitant. It wasn't unsure, it was decisive. A deep exhale left my lips before I could stop it. My pulse thundered beneath my skin, each movement sending another shock wave through me. I should have been scared. I should have been ashamed, but all I felt was his hands trailed back down slower, heavier, his fingertips grazing places he had no business touching. My entire body tensed beneath him, not in protest, but in anticipation. This is wrong, he murmured, but he didn't pull away. His fingers only pressed deeper, tracing invisible patterns along my spine. I turned my head slightly, my voice barely above a whisper. Then, why aren't you stopping? He sucked in a breath, his hands gripping my waist as if anchoring himself, his fingers Dujan slightly too possessive, too familiar. This wasn't just a mistake anymore, this was something else entirely. I closed my eyes, waiting, bracing for whatever came next. But suddenly, just as his hand cinched even lower, something shattered at the moment. A noise, a sharp knock at the door. We both froze. My breath hitched, Hishans went still, and for a terrifying second, neither of us moved. Then a voice, "Here, you in there?" My stomach dropped. It wasn't just anyone, it was someone who shouldn't find us like this. Hishans snapped away from my skin, and I barely had time to grab the towel before the door handle twisted. This was bad, so bad, but the worst part, even as panic gripped me, a part of me wished we hadn't been interrupted. Want to continue. I barely had time to pull Thidewell around me before the door creaked open, and in that moment I knew we were caught. My breath lodged in my throat as I clutched the fabric against my body, heart pounding like a drum in my ears. Michelson was already off the bed, his movements sharp, frantic, like a man snapping out of a trance, but it was too late. The figure at the door took a single step inside, their gaze sweeping across the room, locking onto us with a knowing, piercing intensity. I swallowed hard. We were so screwed. Everything okay in here? My stomach clenched at the voice. It was my aunt, his mother. I felt the blood drain from my face. Oh God, my cousin stiffened beside me, his entire body wound so tight, it looked like he might explode. He was good at masking things, but not this time. The guilt, the tension, it was all over him. I forced a breath, pushing down the panic clawing up my throat. I stammered, me voice too light, too forced. I pulled something in my back earlier, so he was just helping me with a massage. Her eyes flicked between us, lingering too long, calculating. I knew she saw it the way I was gripping the towel too. Tight-laid way, his hands were still slightly clenched at his sides, the way the air between us was too charged to be innocent. I could see the slow understanding dawning on her face. Michelson cleared his throat, forcing a cackle. Yeah, just a massage. God could have sound any guiltier. His mother stared for another second before she finally exhaled, her expression unreadable. Then she gave a small, knowing smile. A smile that made my blood run cold. I see 2 words, but they sent a bolt of dread through me. She turned on her heels, stepping out of the room, leaving the door slightly ajar, and Asher footsteps disappeared down the hall. My cousin, and I finally released the breaths we'd been holding. Silence, attention. Then he turned to me, eyes dark yet tight. She knows, I swallowed, I know, and just like that, the lean snap this wasn't over.